Yo, good morning, America and the rest of the world. Xander J. Hobson, stand-up comedian, entertainer, director and producer of boxing documentaries, and internet troll. To those who need internet trolling, before we go any further, please subscribe, like this channel, hate this channel, share it, share this video, and leave a comment in the comment section. It could be something favorable, or it could be something nasty. Doesn't matter to me, but believe me, if it's something nasty, I got some nasty stuff to spit right back at you. So, as you guys know, I'm a staunch supporter of Dr. Umar Johnson. And I get some praises for it, but I'm going to address the criticism that I get for it. Well, the reason why I support Umar Johnson, because I have been raised to favor the underdog. I've been raised to favor the guy who goes out there and get it from the muscle. My father was an entrepreneur at one time in his life. My father owned a small trucking company, and he had about 15 to 20 tractor trailers. And my father was about putting black men to work. That's what my dad was into. My dad taught me to believe in folks who look like me. Now, please understand, there's a big difference between folks who look like me and niggers, okay? Black people, African Americans, and niggers are not the same people. So, number one, it is important that you know that when you are looking at a black person or dealing with a black person. Am I dealing with a black person, or am I dealing with a fucking nigger? There's a big difference between the two. Second, my mother, Jean Hobson, she was a community activist. And during the 1970s, when gang violence was running rampant, my little mother, a very small woman, she probably didn't weigh no more than 120 pounds soaking wet, my mother, with a group of other mothers, they took the streets of North Philadelphia and they basically stopped the gang violence in North Philadelphia. And then their efforts spread out throughout the city. All of the Stop the Violence campaigns, the Mothers Against Violence and all of that, my mother was the person who got that cracking in the city of Philadelphia back in the 1970s. After my mother and her small group of women and a Catholic priest stopped the violence, then they worked on curriculums and activities to keep the neighborhood children in North Philadelphia out of trouble. My mother's organization was called the North Philadelphia Mothers Concern, and my mother can be looked up online. Her name is Jean, Jean Hobson, Hobson. So anyone out there who's interested, you can check the receipts. When my parents died, they both, their funerals was attended by dignitaries, and they were huge events, especially my mother's. My mother's funeral was attended by dignitaries of all walks of life, all races, shapes, and forms. And you know, my parents, they were both great people. My mother, the neighborhood that I come from, they loved my mother so much. They dedicated a mural to her that has been standing now for over 30 years. My mother's mural was even featured in one of Meek Mill's videos. So, you know, both of my parents and my mother in particular, they were both really big deals in the city of Philadelphia. And I know what they know, and I feel how they feel about people like Umar Johnson. I know, as a matter of fact, my mother and father would have liked Dr. Umar Johnson and they would have supported Dr. Umar Johnson. Well, that is my pedigree. And because that is my pedigree, I have been around men like Umar Johnson my entire life. And I know that men like Umar Johnson, their hearts are in the right place. But a lot of times it's a tough struggle. Actually, men like Umar Johnson are ice skating uphill because Umar Johnson's goals are to spread Pan-Africanism, one. And two, he wants to create the Marcus Garvey Frederick Douglass Academy so that he can educate and enlighten not only the children that he teach, the parents of the children that he teach, as well as the black community. Umar Johnson is a solid dude. And what a lot of people don't understand is Dr. Umar Johnson's goals do not align with the goals of the power structure. The power structure being the United States of America. So for that reason, Dr. Umar Johnson, he works off of donations. Because if Dr. Umar Johnson was to take funds from the federal government, grants, or take any federal money, now the federal government can come in and push their own agenda with Dr. Umar Johnson's Marcus Garvey Frederick Douglass Academy. They can come in and push the feminist agenda. They can come in and they could push the LGBT agenda. So these are the reasons why Dr. Umar Johnson has been taking so long to get his school up, because he hasn't had the support of the black community. A lot of us African Americans, our dollar is strong, but instead of supporting one another with black businesses and other black endeavors, we choose to give our money to the immigrants at the corner stores who have very little respect for us. We choose to spend our money on Gucci, Prada, and with other people who have absolutely no respect for us as black people. A few years ago, just a quick sidebar, black people call themselves, they want to boycott Gucci. And what does my brother Floyd Mayweather do? Floyd Mayweather goes to a Gucci shop and spends $40,000 with people who don't have no respect for him whatsoever. So again, that $40,000, it might not necessarily have to go to Dr. Umar Johnson, but it could have been donated or given to some other black person in America who was trying to do something positive. They had to give it to Dr. Umar Johnson. And again, none of these people have any love for black people, but you spend your black dollar with them. And understand, it's not a cheap shot at Floyd. Floyd does a lot of good things. I know that Floyd Mayweather has paid for the funerals of a handful of boxers who have died. So again, it's not that Floyd Mayweather doesn't have a conscious streak, because he does. And Floyd Mayweather does do a lot of good things for a lot of young fighters who are African American. So again, this is not a cheap shot at Floyd. I was just pointing out his lack of consciousness by spending so much money with Gucci during a time when we as black people should have been standing shoulder to shoulder in our protests of their maltreatment of us. But I said all of that to say this as well, a little about myself. In my 53 years, one of the things that I've done after I woke up was I made it a point to be a brother to my black brother, as well as a brother to my fellow human beings. But my first priority is to my black brothers like myself. During this time, I have been able to provide affordable housing for black men, particularly, who needed affordable housing. I've been able to employ black men who needed employment And I've been able to not only employ them, I've been able to pay them a decent wage. Now, again, my small deeds in helping my brother has not been comparable to others, but I've been able to do what I've been able to do within my power. So I said all that to say this. When I see a black man whose heart is in the right place when it comes to helping out his people, I cannot help but to cheer for that brother. And as long as Umar Johnson is doing the right thing, and there has not been any signs and symptoms of scandal, and there has not been any indictments or anything brought up against Umar Johnson for fraud, then I will support this man. And please understand, we're not talking because you niggas or you haters said that Umar Johnson is a fraud. We're talking about federal indictments, dudes with suits and paperwork saying, hey, this guy, Dr. Umar Johnson, is a fraud. See, just because you niggas say he's a fraud, that don't mean it's so, because most of you niggas, you niggas like to see people fail. You niggas like to sit around and critique others who are doing something with their life. But in the meantime, you haven't done a goddamn thing with your life. You're sleeping on somebody's couch. You're not bathing properly. You're not brushing your teeth. You don't even wash your clothes. A lot of you stinking ass niggas out there that's critiquing people that's doing something, you got food between your teeth and you got shit stains in your drawers. Some of you chicks out there who are doing the same thing, some of you chicks got dirty bras on. So again, as long as Umar Johnson is doing his thing and it's positive, he will receive support from people like myself who believe in this man, because not only do we respect the struggle, we know what the struggle looks like from our own personal experiences. I'm done with it.